everybody? It's the old bear from the old bear's den of Bigfoot again. And this is part two of the paranormal and Bigfoot. And what happened was the night that investigation went on, it was a Saturday night, and they had no interactions at all uh, before midnight. Now, at midnight, they heard heavy footfalls in the woods, and they thought it was deer or something of that nature, and just blew it off. Um, and that was when they went in with the Ouija board. Now, these Bigfoot didn't do anything to alarm anyone or cause any trouble before they opened that Ouija board. When they opened the Ouija board and started playing with it, it, well, the Bigfoot kind of, they heard footsteps close to the house. Heavy footfalls, not the typical sneaking, stealthy type Bigfoot walking. So, all this started because somebody got overzealous when it came to their investigation into the paranormal. And breaking out a Ouija board is usually not a good thing at any time, shape, or form. You never know what's going to come through with that board. You don't know if it's demonic. You don't know if it's an evil entity that is trapped or is being held or is allowed to come back from either, to come back here from hell. So you don't want to play with these things. And there's a little bit of a backstory that I should give you in this video that you didn't get in the first one. Now, there was a contractor there. The owner of the property decided they wanted to get the home back into shape, and they were going to do tours, or they were possibly just going to sell the whole property and make a big profit from it, because they didn't pay very much for this property. There was supposedly it was haunted. Not sure about that. A lot of stuff happened outside, which it could have been, a Bigfoot being nosy and trying to see what stuff was going on. But during the time the contractor was there a few years before this, if they would have material delivered late in the day, and if they didn't take it all inside, it was either flung across the yard, destroyed, and it got to the point where they found footprints after a heavy rain that night. Like at 2 o'clock in the morning, it poured for like an hour and a half. The ground was soaked. Well, by the time that the contractor got there at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, because I spoke to the contractor, he said that when they got there at 7:30, all their stuff they left outside, and anything that they had used outside, or if there was any equipment outside, it was always, heck, they even moved a skid steer, shoved it sideways about 10 feet from where it had been parked, because you could see the skid marks, and they found footprints in it. There were 2x4s, 2x6s, 12s, 2x12s. All that stuff was slung all over the yard. Some of the wood was broken. They had tarped a stack of drywall, and it was broken in the middle by being stepped on. So these are things that possibly Bigfoot had been doing, and that was the last straw for the contractor. After all that happened and all that money was lost, it got expensive. He informed the landowner that, hey, look, somebody's coming out here vandalizing stuff. They moved our skid steer. We found footprints, and he just told the contractor, said, the contractor said, I just didn't want to put my guys into any more peril. So that's what happened. And that was a few years before this investigation. Now, after they opened the Ouija board that night, they heard heavy footfalls coming around to the four sides of the home, and the panel van was being beat on after they opened the Ouija board, and it started moving the planchette by itself. Other things went on. I mean, the cord that the main cord that had all the cameras hooked to it, all that stuff. After they'd already broken down everything and were getting ready to go home, and they tried a Ouija board and left the camera hooked up, and you know, some of the cords got ripped out of the house before, while this Ouija board was going on. After it started moving itself, and the cords got ripped out. They heard screams, grunts, growls from three sides of the home, the left and right and the back. And even some of the paranormal investigators went to the kitchen area, and they shined a flashlight through the window and got eye shine. At the top of the window, and there's no trees there. It was just outside of the window, and whatever it was, when they hit it with the little light they had, which wasn't a very strong beam, evidently, it growled at them, and they got scared, and all of them met at the front, ran out, and one guy got real brave and was going to go jump in his car, and on the way to his car, he ran smack dab into one of these Bigfoot. And one of the Bigfoot were out front that had been beating on the panel on that van, and it was a box truck van. So, he ran right into one of them. And he didn't physically hit it, but he ran within about 10 feet of it, and it stopped him dead. When he saw it, it was standing there as a big black, dark collared figure standing there. And it scared the daylights out of this guy, and he wet his pants, and he ran back to the group, and they ran outside, got in the panel van, and this Bigfoot was out there, and it started beating on the side of the panel van after everybody threw everything in and jumped in the back. And when they went to take off, they had slammed the door down in the back. Well, a couple of these creatures grabbed a hold of the panel van and wasn't letting it go. They were pretty well upset because these people were here playing with something that evidently had let an evil into this world from behind the veil. And it was pretty tough on them. They actually got out of there, and after the deputies and the state police and the local police from that small town came there, they saw four hair-covered creatures run off. And they kept their cars, went through them, went through the cameras, took the SD cards out. All of the little micro recorders they had didn't have SD cards in them, didn't have tapes in them. Everything that could have any proof on it was taken and confiscated. After because this happened a few months ago. This happened back in, I think, early February. After that, at about the middle of March, two of those guys, the guy that drove the panel van and one of the lead guys from the paranormal team, the two lead guys went back there in the dark and saw the destruction that had happened after they had left. Um, they had strong flashlights. They even had firearms on them. Big handguns. One of them was carrying an AR, stuff like that. And they went back there and they saw the destruction to the home. The sides of the house had been ripped apart. The front banisters on the porch, the columns, were ripped down, ripped off the porch. Steps were broken going up through the porch. There was all kinds of stuff. They went inside, and stuff was thrown in from the outside to the inside of the house. So evidently, whatever they had awakened at that home or let in through the veil, through that Ouija board, the portal they opened with it, angered these Bigfoot to no end, because evidently they can sense evil like we can. I mean, if you see someone that's out there, in your local town, and you just see them and you just look at them and go, oh my God, that person's evil. That's what these Bigfoot sensed. Something evil had came through, and they went ballistic. It affected them just as they lost it on the cop, and they lost it on that paranormal team. And after they went back and looked at it, they went and discussed this with their other guys and told me all the information when they called me. And sounds pretty bad to me. But anyway, that should give you more information on this, paranormal investigation, that Bigfoot took an affront to this and didn't want no one to mess with it. So that the landowner actually wanted to bring a lawsuit against them, and sue them for all the damages. And he was told in no uncertain terms that he wasn't going to do anything. His lawyer was told not to even bring the case up. So it's kind of at a standstill right now. No one's allowed on there. The landowner wants no one back on the property because of the things that went on. He still blames the paranormal group for doing all this, or letting people come in there with him and do all this. And the paranormal group had nothing in it. I mean, it's just, they even talked to one of the deputies they talked to that night, that they were telling all this wild, stuff that went on, the wild things that went on before they got out of there. And that deputy confirmed without a doubt, because he saw the 4 creatures that ran off that night. And they were flesh and blood, and they most assuredly were Sasquatch. So, and he said that once the feds got there were some people that showed up in kind of casual dress with vests on and no markings. All this stuff was gathered up by them. They weren't allowed to do anything. They were told to stay outside of the perimeter that was put up by the police of yellow tape. They were ordered to stay outside of that perimeter, not to go inside of it, and that the ones that were there in the casual dress with vests on, and they said that they were pretty much fully decked out in military garb, military gear. They had headsets on. All of them were talking to each other, and they were always in a 2-man team. So this is all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes when something like this happens. And it's just, it's hard to get any information. The only reason that any information was given out is that deputy took a chance on his career. Possible jail, family being jailed, and decided to tell everybody what happened. So I hope y'all understand now what it is to deal with aggressive Bigfoot. The aftermath is everything gets shut up, everything gets destroyed, everything is hushed. So I hope y'all enjoy it, and I hope you like part two. Leave a thumbs up, leave me a comment. We thank you for it, and we got a couple of accounts coming out of Alabama soon. And Alabama, you got Bigfoot, and you got nice ones, and you got bad ones down there. Two accounts out of Alabama coming up in the next two videos, and I hope you enjoy those too, and we'll see you next time. And it's the old bear saying, have a blessed night. Bye-bye.